Welcome to the Rotary Club of York. We are a people of action committed to service above self and honoring the four-way test. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. Past President Brian Tate will lead us in our opening song, America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Michael Reichman will offer the invocation, and Jude Landau will introduce our visitors.
Rotarians and guests, and Jude, please join me. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jude, Breon. I actually knew a Breon in conservatory. Pretentious, I know. Okay, would you please join me in this little meditation? Our lives are filled with stories. Stories fill our recreational time on Netflix, cable, movie theater, and live on stage. But stories are more than just our entertainment. Our life is a story in which we're number one on the call sheet. We're in the leading star in our story, and everyone else is at best a supporting character. And it's important to remember that while our life's biopic is being filmed, so to speak, so is that of everyone else around us. Everyone is at a different point in their story and fighting different challenges every single day. And narrative is how we make sense of everything that happens around us. And we infuse narrative into an income statement, a notarized will and testament, an MRI or CAT scan, because without that, life is a random association of numbers and letters. So in light of today's speakers, let us remember that everyone is playing the protagonist in their life story right now, and treat everyone with the dignity and respect that is deserved of any major leading role in a blockbuster. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests today. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Jackie has welcomed you. Rebecca Countess, guest of Frank Countess. Sydney Kelsler Appel, guest of Frank Countess. Dr. Scott Krauser, guest of Tim Williams. Melissa Rosario, guest of Mike Black. Harrison Smith, guest of our speakers. And Lee Smotkin, guest of Rob Bowen.
Hey, Jude, don't make it bad. I just met a dog this morning, this beautiful old English sheepdog whose name was Jude, and I think that was on my mind. I know your name is Judd. I know who you are. I am so happy to see all of you today. Thank you for coming to our Rotary meeting. I know that you'll find it incredibly interesting and informative, and I do hope you plan to join us again soon. Fellow Rotarians, please help me welcome our guests. You may be seated. Thank you. The program committee will meet today at 1:30 downstairs in the Mixed Grill. The Rotary Board will meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The IDEA Committee will meet on May 16th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. I would like to extend a very happy anniversary wish to Walt Tilley and John Luciani on their 25th anniversary as members of our Rotary Club. Thank you for being valued members. You are really just exceptional. Thank you so much. The Fellowship Committee would like to invite you to a happy hour at Box Hills Pub 28 on June 2nd from 5 to 7. If you're interested, please RSVP to Rob Bowen, past President Rob Bowen. I'd like to thank you for your generous gifts to our club's Give Local York campaign. We raised $16,365 in support of the new Community Engagement Center that we're partnering with Chief Muldrow and the City of York and the Police Department on. We're going to continue to update you as more of that comes to fruition and all of their plans unfold. So we'll keep you updated on what's happening there. We received a nice note from the Senior Director of Development for the Center for Disaster Philanthropy regarding our contribution to the Ukraine relief effort. Devin Mathias is a fellow Rotarian from the State College Sunrise Club, where he serves as club secretary and fundraising chair for District 7360. He writes, "Thank you for the Rotary Club of York's support of CDP. As a fellow Pennsylvania Rotarian, it was a particularly exciting gift to see come through our mail. We're truly grateful for your support. We really do live in a small world. Thank you again for your support of Ukraine." And now for a member moment. Caterpillar moved Dick Julian to York in 1977 from their international headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, where he headed up human resource operations and labor relations in Africa, the Middle East, and Russia. He lived on 3 different continents and worked on 5. He was always proud of Caterpillar, the product they were making, and how they served the world. Dick was born just 4 miles away from where Rotary was founded in Chicago. He spent a lot of time at the Neighborhood Boys Club, which played a large part in informing his life. He earned a degree in business at Northwestern University, where he met his wife, Karen. After college, he worked as a land surveyor and was chief of the land crew in Colorado Springs that laid out the Air Force Academy. Dick joined Rotary in 1979. He was president in 1996. He chaired Group Study Exchange for many years. And he's also attended many international Rotary conferences. He highly recommends them as he found them to be inspiring, rewarding, and he loved meeting people from all parts of the world and learning about the importance of Rotary in their countries and to them. He was featured in an issue of the 1995 Rotary magazine, holding an official Rotary meeting in Antarctica. He is one of a very few Rotarians who attended Rotary meetings on all 7 continents. Dick remains active on student education, fellowship, and the Rotary Foundation committees. Not bad for a 90-year young gentleman. Dick has also been active in the community. He served as president of the York County Library System, and he was also instrumental in helping to found Leadership York, serving as its president their 3rd year. He is also a lay leader in his church. As part of fellowship, he sends each Rotarian a birthday card every year. I'm sure you've noticed the unique stamps adorning the envelope. He began collecting stamps as an 8-year-old and found them to be a way to learn about geography, history, and world events. A lifelong learner, he always enjoyed taking college classes wherever he was living. He and Karen have 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. He loved York from the moment he arrived. He feels community pride here, and while not a native, he appreciated being welcomed to the community. In his lifetime, he's witnessed many challenges, but also many wonders in the world. Rotary has helped him be aware of world challenges and how to respond and make a difference. He's proud to be a part of the #1 service organization in the world. And Dick, we're very, very proud of you and grateful for your many years of Rotary service. Thank you so much. And And now Leanne Wilson with the Preserve Planet Earth announcement.
I remember the reduce, reuse, recycle program when I was a kid. I remember we had to separate the glass, aluminum, and paper. I don't remember the plastic. And I think that's because plastic was not as prevalent as it is today in the 1980s. It wasn't there. Now we have what appears to be a really easy way to recycle called single stream. Our municipalities have provided us with really big, large blue bins that we get to fill up and roll out onto our streets. The truck comes, picks it up, hoists it over, and dumps out all those contents and takes it off to where we hope it's going to be recycled. But as we learned about a month ago, a little of that plastic is actually recycled. If it isn't a number 1 or a number 2, or if it's too small or too dark or too dirty, the sorting machines just let it roll on down the line off to the landfill or to be burned for energy. The world has a plastic problem, and there's a lot of smart people working on to solve this problem. And we're fortunate to have one of those here in York. CRDC Global does not discriminate against any plastic. They want all of it, including the Amazon plastic envelopes, mulch plastic bags, the large Dairy Queen ice cream cake dome, the styrofoam that you found blowing through your backyard, or the chip clip that broke. I'm not sure if anyone looked through Aaron's garbage last month, but you now have a glimpse into my plastic garbage. On June 1st, we want all of your plastic garbage as well. JT is bringing a York Water Company dump truck. I don't know how big that is, but I do know that I want to fill it up, and we need your help. CRDC has graciously given us more green bags. We've gone through an entire box, which is very encouraging that we're going to have lots to fill in that dump truck. I did find out the green bags are not mission critical. However, CRDC does prefer that the bags are transparent. They provided the green transparent ones here, so please pick up more. I know I'm filling 1 bag a week. How many are you filling? How are you going to be a person of action to help us preserve planet Earth? I look forward to filling that dump truck on June 1st. Thank you.
We're working on it, Leanne. We have 2 full bags so far, and I picked up a few more today. So I think we'll have a bunch by June 1st, and I'm sure it's going to look really cool out there with this mountain of green that we've collected. And now past President Josh George with new member inductions.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Thank you, President Jackie. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you 3 new members of the Rotary Club of York. I've had the pleasure of doing this quite a bit this year, and we hope to continue to do it for the rest of the year as well. And I would like to begin today with Tony Campisi. He's on the end there. I assume none of you know Tony. So I have a long bio to read, which he was kind enough to provide to me, but he told me before we stood up here that if I read too much of it, he was going to leave. So that said, Tony Campisi, he went to York Catholic High School and graduated from York College of Pennsylvania with a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. He has spent the vast majority of his career at the Gloud Federal Insurance Group, where he currently serves as the former president and the current chairman. His community service is obviously a little bit too long to read, so I have a couple of highlights. He is the board president of the Arthur and Lee Gladfelder Foundation. He is a board member for Better York, a board member of the Crispus Attucks Association, and the board president of the International Association of the Fire Chiefs Foundation. His hobbies include tennis and golf, and he has been married to his wife, Steph, for 46 years. He and Steph have 3 adult sons, Jason, Tony, and Ryan, and 6 grandchildren. 6. Yep. He is actually a former member of the Rotary Club of East York, so it's great to have him here at our Rotary Club. And he was proposed by Glenn Miller, who decided that he did not need to be here for Tony's introduction because I guess he figured everybody knew Tony in the first place. So next time you see Glenn, bust his chops a little bit for not being here when his person was joined the club. So without further ado, Tony Campisi. And then our next two inductees sort of come as a package deal. They are the dynamic duo who you will get to know real well from the Yorktown Hotel. So first we have Mike Bloom, and we also have James Parker. I will introduce Mike first. Mike is a graduate of the Culver, Indiana Military Academy, and then he went to Allegheny Community College and also Miami University in Ohio. He is employed by GF Hotels and Resorts at the Yorktown Hotel, where he serves as the managing director. Some of his previous community service when he lived out of the area, he was part of the Chamber of Commerce in Madison County, Mississippi. He was part of the Tourism Commission in Ridgeland, Mississippi, and also the Convention and Visitors Bureau in the Bay Area of Houston, Texas. His hobbies include golf, hiking, walking, and sports. And he is the parent of 2 adult children, Michael, who's 26, and Lauren, who's 25. And he is proposed by Lynn Bergdahl. Mike Bloom. And then his colleague, James Parker. James is originally from England, so he is going to be our new Patty Rooney. Time will tell, my friend, time will tell. He came to the U.S. 7 years ago in May of 2015. He graduated from Leeds Beckett University in the UK, where he studied history and politics. He is also with GF Hotels and Resorts at the Yorktown Hotel, where he serves as Director of Sales and Marketing. His hobbies include running, walking, and yoga, and he was also proposed by Lynn Bergdahl. Ladies and gentlemen, James Parker. Thank you, members, for proposing all of these new members over the last few months. Please keep it up. We're on a great streak here coming out of COVID, so please continue all the hard work of proposing new members. And we look forward to introducing more to you soon.
Welcome, welcome to our new members. We say this every time we have new members join us, but it's true. Your fulfillment in being a Rotarian really is directly tied to your willingness to get actively involved in the numerous committees, not that you have to get involved in every one, but you want to check out the 29 or so committee options that we have available to you to be a part of. So visit a committee, see what you think of it, move on to another one, check that out too before you decide. But we hope that you'll get involved with at least one committee as Rotarians. And I think that you'll find it to be very rewarding as well, getting to know these incredible members of our club. So please, again, help me welcome our new members. And now past President Dave Hoffman with a Youth Exchange Committee update.
Okay, first of all, thanks for the segue, Jackie. Youth Exchange is a great committee for new members to look into joining. As you heard the other week from our update from Walt, Youth Exchange is back on track this year after a year of not allowing youth to participate in foreign exchange. We're gearing up for a great year. We have 2 students coming to our club. That's the easy part. The hard part is getting host families. Jerry and I, that is our responsibility. It would be a daunting task if not for you 300 plus members who are de facto members of our committee. So we will, what we're doing is we're looking for you if you're interested in hosting, if you know someone who would be interested in hosting, friends, family, neighbors. Right now we have 2 students coming to Suburban and Dallastown. So this is a very unique opportunity because we do not have them yet. So you have a chance to possibly pick a boy or a girl and even maybe a country. So if you're interested, let us know. It's a great opportunity. If you haven't experienced, it's just, if you have children or you're interested in the world or enriching a student's life, you really should consider it. We were on a cruise through Germany, and we ended up being in Amsterdam at the same time as our first exchange student from France was there for a medical conference. Got to spend 2 evenings with him. So it's a great opportunity. Could I just see a show of hands of anyone who's hosted or been a counselor? Look around if you're interested. Those people can answer questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And again, it truly is a remarkable experience, very, very fulfilling to be part of Youth Exchange. So I hope you'll consider it. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Kelly Gibson to the podium to introduce today's program.
Good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Since its inception in 2019 by Doug Henderson and Matt Nease, independent film studio Everything's Fire has produced 5 feature-length films for international distribution in York and Lancaster, one of which will be hitting the shelves of major retailers and streaming platforms in June under the Lionsgate Entertainment label. Today, Matt will discuss what it's been like manufacturing movies in York and share plans and hopes for the future of the film industry in South Central PA. Matt graduated from Temple University in 2012 with a BFA in Film and Media Arts. Shortly after, he co-founded Bold Creative Media with Doug Henderson to create corporate video content and award-winning short films. Their skills grew and so did their client list, working on hundreds of projects with companies from all over the world and winning international awards for their work. They produced their first feature film as Everything's Fire in 2019 when they worked with B. Harrison Smith to create The Special, who's here with us today. Rotarians, please help me welcome Matt Nease.
Thank you very much, Kelly, for the introduction. And also thank you to the Rotary Club of York for having me today as your speaker. So our company's name is Everything's Fire, and we've been collaboratively producing movies here in York and Lancaster with B. Harrison Smith since 2019. But before I get into that too much, I'd like to take our story back to the beginning. So my business partner, Doug Henderson, and I, we met in 2010, and we decided to work together on creating a short film titled All Alone. And the script that Doug wrote called for a car getting set on fire. And there was not any money for this. So our friends and collaborators, they looked at us and said things like, oh, just change the script. Or they would skeptically ask, how are you going to pull that off? But we did not accept defeat. Doug managed to find a car, and we were able to get that for free and coordinate with the fire training program at HAC to be able to make everything happen. So despite all the doubt around us, we didn't just solve the problem in some kind of makeshift way. We did everything legally and safely. We had multiple fire trucks on site, we had firefighters, and even EMS. After that film, Doug and I created a corporate video production company called Bold Creative Media. And this decision allowed us to start making a living and work on accumulating equipment, building connections, and improving our skills and workflows. We did hundreds of corporate projects, and we won several international awards. We kept making short films and participated in the Baltimore 48-hour film competition for 3 years in a row. We won Best Film all 3 years, along with other awards for directing, cinematography, Best Ensemble Cast, and a few other categories. Things were going fine. People would ask how business was, and the answer was always, business is fine. Things are fine. But we were not making movies. Eventually, our work caught the attention of already established filmmaker B. Harrison Smith, and we became good friends. In early 2019, everything was set for our first feature film together, right here in York and Lancaster. Our experience and our equipment was finally being utilized to make a film. So after hundreds of corporate video projects under the name Bold Creative Media, it didn't feel right to produce our first feature film under that same name. We wanted a new image dedicated entirely to making movies for international distribution. So we thought about the status quo, the challenges we'd been up against, and we thought about the very beginning, that car that we lit on fire. So to reference Urban Dictionary, some of you may have heard of it, others probably not. The word fire is defined as something that is really good, amazing, or crazy in a good way. Used in a sentence, that song is straight fire. So as silly as this was, this really connected with our goals and ambitions, and it marked a shift away from that mindset of everything's fine. So the name Everything's Fire was chosen as a reminder that things won't be easy. There will be many obstacles, but none of them will be impossible and everything will be worthwhile. Making the special, which was our first feature film in 2019, was no easy task, but we overcame every single obstacle. After its release, the special went on to receive publicity through mainstream horror publications and got an international release. It's a bit of an odd movie and it attracted some really positive attention. And recently it was released on Steelbook Blu-ray in Germany. Since that first feature film, we've produced 5 total films here in York and Lancaster. And we go on to produce number 6 2 weeks from now. It is a holiday movie directed by B. Harrison Smith and starring Tom Arnold, titled Reason for the Season. The next to release is titled Where the Scary Things Are, and it becomes available on June 28th through Lionsgate Entertainment. Many of the lead actors in this film were involved in the theater program at York Suburban High School, and part of the movie was filmed at a local high school here in York. So I have the trailer for this film for everyone to watch.
You're listening to Where the Scary Things Are. 3 years ago, 7 children disappeared without a trace. Were they taken by Lockjaw, a local urban legend, or something worse? This is their story.
Lockjaw, the creepy guy that supposedly lives in the sludge ponds. Anyone here ever actually seen Lockjaw? You all are going to, drum roll, create your own urban legends to see how false information becomes accepted as fact.
Want this urban legend project to rock. We make it way more scary. There's something in the box.
Nothing could live in their snack.
We need to find a place to hide this thing. This is gonna be great.
Want me to go in here? It's in there anyway, huh?
Just go.
What the hell is this? Some sort of prank video, huh? This is awful.
We have thousands of comments. I'd like to throw one of those haters in there.
Everything on that channel is real. I'll take you there tonight. What the hell did you kids do?
Hi, Mr. Ross.
I can smell fear. Have you ever seen Lockjaw? I work with facts, Max. We need to call the cops. We are in over our heads.
We will go right to the edge.
All right, so what I'm really here to talk to you about today is the making of movies and their impact. So making a movie is not all that different from the traditional manufacturing process. First, there needs to be a design, and in the film industry, that comes in the form of a script. So whether we write the film ourselves or acquire a script from a writer, the script serves as the blueprint for planning production of the movie. It gets broken down to determine the parts that we need to build the movie. How many characters are in the script? We then cast actors for those roles. What locations are in the script? We then find the right locations for the movie. The same goes for crew, props, wardrobe, and many other things. We then have to look at our manufacturing process. The script gets broken down into individual scenes and work to an optimized schedule that reduces wasted time and resources. Once all the planning is done, we begin the run. Everyone executes in their role, and we create the individual shots that make up a scene. We build all the scenes until we finally have all the pieces. Once production is complete, we move into assembly or post-production, where the movie comes together and is refined. While summarized in a single sentence, this process typically takes a few months. Now we have our product. This product can now be digitally distributed indefinitely all over the world. Things like smart TVs, Roku boxes, video on demand services from iTunes, Amazon, Xfinity, Vudu, and many more help remove the traditional barriers and allow for profitable independent film release. So growing an industry. So often when the film industry is mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind is Hollywood. They have a massive film industry, but there are hubs all over the country: Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and Kansas City, Missouri, just to mention a few. As we continue to earn bigger and bigger opportunities, we see huge potential to grow the film industry here. And growing a film industry in York and the surrounding area would provide substantial economic impact. York was recently rebranded as the place of makers, a place where people can practice their craft, they can build and create, and this ideology and mindset is the perfect stage to build upon. What does the film industry do for an area? A film industry provides employment across many sectors. Productions need actors and directors, yes, but they also need drivers for transportation. They need catering services. They need carpenters to build sets. Movies need makeup teams, wardrobe departments, camera departments, lighting departments, prop managers, other assistants, and the list goes on. If you've ever sat through the entire credits sequence at the end of a movie, you know I don't have time to list everything. And they're all jobs that can't be automated. On top of that, productions need housing accommodations for cast and crew from out of town. Productions need locations to film at. They need catering services, props, rental equipment, and spending on so many of those things happens locally. So how do we get a thriving film industry here? Well, from what we've discussed, we see it in two stages. First, we have to have enough films being made here to build a foundation of cast and crew. At this point in time, it isn't common for someone involved in the production of movies to make a decent living in this area. So any local talent that we do have either moves to a larger film hub or they change their career path completely. Financiers and investors hold a lot of power and can mandate a project be filmed in a certain area. With that said, it's important that we find a local form of investment to ensure that projects stay local and consistent. Vetting and financing smaller projects to create a consistent stream of work here is an essential step to retaining the talent that we have in the area and starting to attract talent from outside the area, establishing a base and setting the stage for larger economic impact. So next, once we're able to consistently provide work in York, we can start to think about attracting outside productions. We'll have a local infrastructure to support them. It really does not make financial sense for a film to come to an area and bring every single cast and crew member with them. The extra costs of hotels and travel is too significant. Producers rely heavily on local talent to get their projects made. For example, we have a multi-million-dollar project in the works, but our financial partners have decided to film in Georgia to take advantage of the existing infrastructure, and they also want to take advantage of the tax incentives available there, which is another piece to the puzzle. To start setting the stage for attracting outside production, we're pushing for revisions in the current tax credit system to better benefit small to medium-sized productions. When I say small to medium, we're still talking about millions of dollars from each production injected into the local economy. Currently, the tax credit system favors large productions, and they take up the majority of the available limited credits. When those larger movies do come to Pennsylvania, they typically film in areas like Philly or Pittsburgh with that existing infrastructure. There's a bill right now to advocate for an increase in the tax credit cap from its current $70 million to $125 million. In 2021, the existing $70 million cap was reached in one day, the same day that it opened for applications. What we propose is having a carve-out designated for in-state production companies doing small to medium-sized productions, filming in what's been called the Pennsylvania Wilds, which is the term that's used for anything outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. When the budgets get higher, investors want to know that they're getting those tax credits. And in Pennsylvania, it just isn't a guarantee. Additionally, we're working with a handful of individuals here in York to establish the York Film Office as a nonprofit organization to assist productions with finding the resources they need to make movies here. Starting now is important, as we need to build up a database of resources in the area and begin organizing materials for the film office to promote York on the national stage at location expos across the country. When the time comes, we need the film office to talk about our infrastructure and the incentives of filming here, along with all the great locations that York has to offer. With that being said, the current York Film Office website is just a website. It's not yet a nonprofit, but the page has, or there is a page where any property owner can submit an online form and have their property listed as a potential filming location. And that goes into a statewide database. There are no strings attached, and you can negotiate terms on a case-by-case basis should someone end up reaching out. The more locations we can make available for productions, the more attractive York will look as a filming destination. So we are very optimistic about the future and what a film industry could mean for York and the surrounding area. Employment, spending at local businesses, and added culture. In a town built on manufacturing and makers that's on the rise and growing, we truly believe that right here is the perfect place for a film hub. There will be many more symbolic cars to light on fire, but we know it's possible. Anyone who is interested in getting involved in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any additional questions or work together on new ideas to bring this vision to life. Thank you. Questions?
So, other than the business perspective, when you choose to film in York, what is it about York, either in terms of location or attributes, that makes it attractive for filming from a viewing perspective?
From a viewing perspective.
Like, what's cool about seeing York on the screen?
Okay.
People who aren't from York.
So the question is, what's cool about seeing York on the screen for people that aren't from York? What is attractive about filming here? Well, one thing that we've found interesting about York is that it kind of has a little bit of everything. We have, in a very small area, we have farmlands, we have the city, we have suburbs. We've even joked that we have pretty much everything except for an ocean and like a beach or desert. So it's really cool seeing York on the big screen. I remember for the first time seeing in the special, we had this nighttime aerial shot of downtown. And just seeing that when we first screened the movie at the Appel Center was just a really cool experience. And I think other people had that same feeling too. Other questions? So, yeah. So the question is, what type of property would make for an attractive filming location? And I would say it really depends on the story being told, because there are so many different kinds of movies being made. And so a property that somebody might not typically think of as being an attractive filming location could be perfect for one script, or completely the opposite thing of what the filmmakers are looking for in another script. So pretty much any property can be considered for some type of filming location. I think the biggest thing is then working out what that arrangement looks like with the filmmakers to make sure that everyone's expectations are correctly met, and that everyone feels good about what's happening at that location.
Spoke about working with suburban students there. And my question is there an untapped resource also for other schools, colleges, academy, training students that sound that, lighted, look after, or risk, or any of those things. There's some way that we can connect education to training that next group outside.
Got it. So the question is about making a connection between current educational institutions and programs and our organization and what we're doing here. And that's a great question, because that's something that we're currently working on with some institutions, because we definitely have a lot of experience and can help kind of guide some of those programs on what is best for or beneficial for their students to be able to enter into this industry, having an excellent foundation of knowledge. So that is a critical component to this whole thing kind of growing and working. So other questions? So the question is, are we really limited to just York, or is this something that can be very beneficial to all of South Central Pennsylvania? And absolutely. I see this being a great opportunity to kind of bridge some of the gaps between these areas, York, Lancaster, Harrisburg, and it definitely can grow to be a regional thing. And I think it works best as a regional thing, really. So great question. Financing a film. So the question is to explain the world of financing a film. And I kind of intentionally left that out of this talk, because that's like a whole other 40-minute presentation about how films get financed and how they make money. So that's something that I think it would be great if people are interested, we can come back and talk about that on a separate time. How do we finance them? A lot of ours have been financed through a company in Los Angeles, but we're hoping to get more financing in this region, because that gives more investment into not just the movie itself, but building an industry here. So, and thank you for talking about movies in your, appreciate that. Other questions? In this area right now, there currently isn't, to the best of my knowledge, a significant pool of filmmakers. There's definitely a handful. There are one or two other people that I know in the York area, and then there's a handful of people in Lancaster that are making movies. But yeah, we definitely hope to continue growing that number and continue to make more and more of an impact. So the question is talking about theatrical release versus our distribution. And so far, we have not distributed any of our own movies. They've all gone to another company that has handled the distribution. But what's been so different now versus how movies have always been distributed in the past is that we have all of this technology that has made it really easy, and I say easy lightly, but it's made it much simpler to get a movie out into the world because of all these streaming platforms and those types of things. The only downside with that is there is certainly that brings more competition because it's not as simple to stand out. But to go along with that, we certainly have our own philosophies and strategies revolving around marketing to get the films that we create to stand out. So hopefully that answers the question. Okay. I would say, so the question is, what is the most interesting or creative use of a space from one of the films that we've made here? And I've got to say that I think the first thing that comes to mind is there is a bank downtown that's currently vacant. And we've used that bank building for web series. We've used it for the Christmas movie that we did last year. And we've used it for a handful of other projects. And it's so interesting because it's been used in totally different capacities depending on which movie we're making. So we've used the vault, we've not used the vault, we've used different areas of it. So it seems like it could be totally different places depending on which movie you're looking at. So I would say it's one of the more interesting ones. We also had the opportunity to make a movie with Frank Countess and his wife, and we got to film at their house. And that was a great experience. And we're really grateful for the connections that we've made and the collaborations that we've had with people that are in York to help us along our journey. Not necessarily. So the question is it more financially lucrative to focus on the same genre or to change genres? And I would say that it really depends on trends. So sometimes certain movies can be trending, whether it's horror or action. So hitting those trends is important, but also I think the most important thing is just making sure that there's a good story as the foundation, because when you're telling a good story, I think that really transcends any of the genre conventions, and being able to put something together that is marketable to a specific demographic. I think that is really the recipe for success. Any other questions? Sure.
You saw the trailer, Matt. What Matt just said is dead on. That was a great question. The trailer that you saw is more than just a horror movie. Most of you, I just see a quick poll. How many horror fans? Not many. That's the point. Matt has said it depends on the story. We try to make movies with good messages, and horror doesn't have to always just be blood and guts. The film that you see up there also represents something that is very disturbing that is happening in this nation. We are having a mental health crisis with our children. And social media is a major factor of this. The real question of the film is who's really the monster in this movie. And it's a topic most people don't wish to discuss. That's what good horror does. It makes us uncomfortable. And we have to look at ourselves. So with that question, with what Matt is saying, I don't need to intrude on his presentation, but what we just showed you on that trailer is more than just a monster movie where something goes around and kills people. The real message when it's done is people walk out asking questions. Sometimes they are also uncomfortable conversations. With the special debut at the Appel Center, our opening presentation was some of you are going to have some very uncomfortable conversations when you're coming. That's what a good movie should do. So it is about the quality of the project. It is not necessarily the genre that dictates what we do next. And we want to have something to say and deliver something high quality.
Yeah, thank you for that. That definitely adds on to the conversation. And there was actually a podcast that somebody recently released about the special, and they were talking about it, and they started off the podcast, you know, saying that this movie is just, you know, it's not very deep or anything like that. And what ended up happening is they started talking about the story and they started realizing some things. And so it was very interesting to hear them start to realize some of those subtleties and those messages that are embedded in the film. So that just goes off of that comment that we want to make good stories. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your questions and for listening to me talk today.
York is such a cool place, don't you think? We just have it all. We've got a lot going on. Thank you so much for sharing what you're doing. And I loved your message at the end, Harrison. Thank you for sharing that too. We wish you much continued success. You know, there are a lot of budding stars in this room. You might want to look around. You might want to check some of these folks out. Consider them for the future. I know you already have Cal. He's one of your budding stars. So thank you. We wish you a lot of success in what you're doing, and we look forward to going to the movies and seeing your films. So Doug and Matt graciously signed the book plate for the book Epic Athletes, Simone Biles by Dan Wetzel, that we will be donating in their honor to McKinley Elementary School. Next week, we'll hear from Madeline Torres Ocasio of the York County Hispanic Coalition, which is a not-for-profit organization established in 1988. She'll discuss the York County population and the organization's goals in supporting the York County Hispanic community. In closing, our quote today is by the one and only Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. I hope you have a great rest of your week. This meeting is adjourned.